What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Team Solemn Circus live video. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We're running DB duels. This is going to be post ban list. We got home from locals yesterday. The ban list had just dropped. We all rushed home. We hopped on DB, playing some test games. This is going to be branded versus Voiceless Voice. Branded obviously being hit with one branded fusion down to one. We are still going to be playing through that. I will be showing you guys the list. I guess the list will be appearing most likely tomorrow. And then, of course, we're going to be doing another branded duel the next following day. Following the memento through the week. We are able to push a little bit more of these out, so you might be seeing more than one duel per day. But for now, we're just focusing on one, trying to test this out the waters here. It's not going to be forever that we're going to be doing DB duels. We'll be back to live duels during next week. But if you guys enjoy this kind of format, let me know in the comment section down below. It goes out a lot quicker. We can talk about the hands people have as well, and this being able to play. So, we're going to start off here with us going first. We're the branded player on the Team Solemn Circus. We do open up branded fusion here: Droplets, Albaz, Dark Ruler No More, and Fusion Duplication. We have Veiler, Pre-Prep, the Herald, and the Voiceless Barrier, as well as the Dominus Purge. So we do open up double hand traps here, being able to stop, for example, a copy of the Aluber here, as well as I guess you can stop Aluber twice, but an opening as well can be quite nice, and even a Quem. A bunch of stuff like that. We could also see a fusion being stopped by the Veiler effect, and then obviously if we have the Aluber, we can hit the Dominus Purge. We do not. We see kind of like two bricks, air quotes, so it's going second cards, and Albaz in the hand, which is not always the greatest, a good discard target for a copy of Branded in red, and we see Branded Fusion, which is now considered a god card in our hand. So we do have one playable card here, which is quite nice. If we didn't have this card, it was anything else, we probably would have lost. And then, of course, we have Fusion Duplication, which is going to be a lot more difficult now to banish your copies of Branded Fusion to get the effect off here. But we are going to be diving on in. We're going to see a Branded Fusion, and it does not get ashed here. We send a Lubellion and an Albaz to go for the copy of Albion. It's a very standard combo. We do see the Albion effect getting hit with a copy of Veiler, making so that we cannot continue. We would have banished the copy of Albaz as well as the Albaz in Graveyard, going for the Lubellion, pitching the copy of Dark Ruler, putting back an Albaz and himself to make a copy of Mirror Jade. Now, that is not going to be the best board, but it does get the Albion in the graveyard, a Lost, and a Mirror Jade on the field, and we can summon out a copy of the Titaniclad, because we send the Titaniclad off the Mirror Jade for this, set Quem, dump, and then have a little bit of a combo to play, with Branded in red being set here for that Albaz that's dumped in the graveyard. But instead, we're going to be going through this here. We're going to be seeing the Lubellion being on the field, activating the effect, placing the Lost, which is going to help us. We do set two cards. The Lost is going to help me go to the Fusion Duplication, being able to search for a copy of Mercurier, being another form of interruption versus our opponent. Now, important to note that Fusion Duplication does not get the protection that normally a Fusion does with Lost, because the last thing that happens on the chain of Fusion Duplication is an effect being copied. So that's very important to note. We do end phase here, Albion, and they do it the Purge there, making it so that we do not have any of that. So here we have to think, they're going to go pre-prep. At this point, we did not know what our opponent is playing. So let them add the copy of Prayer as well as the Skull Guardian, I believe, or the Ceravis, okay. They activate the barrier, or they're going to search for a copy of Saphira. This is going to let them have another search, which is not going to do that much for them. They're going to go Saphira, search for Prayer, and then search for another copy of the Skull Guardian. So now currently we know in their hand they have Prayer, Skull Guardian, and a copy of Ceravis. They have the copy of the Saphira in the graveyard as well, which is going to let them ritual summon as well here. But we do get to play through this as well. So here we're going to see a normal summon Diviner. It's going to activate the effect. We do chain the copy of Fusion Duplication. We do not want them to send Entis there to kind of pop. And we can also just go Fusion Duplication 1, or I guess 2 in this case, because Chain Link 1 is going to be the Diviner. Then Chain Link 2 is going to be Fusion Duplication, alongside Chain Link 3 is going to be the Forbidden Droplet, sending the Trap card to negate that copy of Diviner here. So we see a Tragedy as well as an Albaz being sent for a copy of Lubellion. We're going to activate the Lubellion effect here, Loss as well as Tragedy, discarding that copy of Dark Ruler No More. We search for a copy of the Aluber. It could have been a Quem as well. We just want to have a guaranteed follow-up by searching for a copy of Branded in red. Going to kind of give us the rest of the game. We put back the Aluber, or the Lubellion alongside the Albaz to go for a copy of Mirror Jade, and they go Saphira effect banish. And we ask what the copy of Ceravis reads, because I want to know if it just negates, if it targets in the graveyard, if it has to be a card you control. So we just see that happening by sending the copy of the Skull Guardian to the graveyard, and we summon out another copy of Skull Guardian. So now we know they have what both cards in the hand do. We know they search for the Prayers off the copy of Pre-Prep. So the last two cards are kind of revealed here, which is going to be the Diviner and the copy of this. We just want to stop this effect getting any other cards. We do Mercurier that, and we chain the copy of this, sending the copy of Titanic Clad to get rid of this. Therefore, they're not going to have any ability to use the rest of the cards in their hand here. So that's kind of like the point of what we were planning to do. They go for a Typhon here, which can then bounce back the copy of Mirror Jade. It's not going to make that much of a difference because during the end phase, we're going to be able to go Titanic Clad, someone with the copy of Quem dump the Albaz, or whatever card we want, being able to dump Cartesia, add back, because we have an Albaz in the graveyard, we can just summon herself out during our turn. Now we do draw a Thrust here, which is going to be a little bit better, being able to search for Branded Fusion as well. Now, and more than ever, this card is going to be important to play, maybe playing 3 copies of it if you weren't already. While we were on 2 for the longest time, which I might be bumping up to 3 now, but we are playing some other branded cards as well, including the branded in white. So a lot of decks have played this when it was 60 cards, but we're playing it now on the 45. Now the reason why we're playing branded in white, because essentially is branded fusion, but in the post turns. So this can be able to banish the cards, kind of like a branded in red. But you can also use the effect of like this, just like High Spirits, being able to dump it with the copy of Albion to then be able to search as well, which is important, or get to add back, I guess, as well, which is very nice. But we see the Cartesia being summoned there, and then we see a normal summon of a Luber activating the effect, and they just scoop it up there immediately. Moving on to game 2 here, we're going to be playing against Voiceless Voice. We don't have that many board breakers in our deck. We see copies of the Bestials here. We also see like the Lightning Strums as well, but they're going to go for a copy of Barrier, going for the Saphira. We see Saphira dumping, going for Prayers, and adding the Skull Guardian, and we do end up hitting the Skull Guardian, or the copy of Saphira here. I didn't mention the cards in the hand as well with the Magnum, which can let us search for another copy of a Bestial during the end phase, or a copy of Albion if we didn't already have it. But we see an Imperm, Anti-Spell, and the Dear Servant, Saphira, and a Skull Guardian at this point. We see an opening, Magnum, Fusion Deployment, Albaz, and an Albion. Now looking at this hand right off the bat, we're losing. These 2 cards here, I guess you can even say these 3 cards here are going to be an FTK versus us. Nothing we can do against Anti-Spell. But the Dear Servant could also give us a turn. Now we do misplay a little bit, which I'll mention later. We do see the Magnum on the Saphira here, banishing it, making it so it's not able to activate the effect. Giving them another, now they have to have another copy of a card, lets them Ritual Summon, and then another Ritual, ability or monster here, which can be kind of crazy. So they no longer can go for Saphira or Skull Guardian into the copy of sorry, my bad. They can no longer go Skull Guardian using the copy of the Ceravis. They now have to have another body on the field or in the hand, which they most likely will have, but just being able to hit this, stopping them from Ritual Summoning numerous times can definitely help, making them essentially forced to have that Prayers in the hand here, which they just don't have. So we see them activating the Dear Servant, dumping the copy of the Garua to draw a card, as well as search for a copy of Maximus. And now they're kind of forced. They also draw into a Purr, which isn't quite nice. We see the Maximus being summoned out here. Now, not only is this a body, but it's going to actually allow them to search, and then having us, be able to use a turn, using some cards during turn 0 here. So this is very risky for the opponent. A lot of Voiceless Voice players will not be playing this they'll side it out when they're playing versus branded. But in this case here, it definitely pays off. So they dump a copy of Herald and a copy of the Entis here, and we dump a copy of Albion and a copy of Grand Huguenot. Now this is where I misplayed. So looking back, we should not have sent the Grand because they're not going to be summoning off of a monster effect this turn at all. They already have gone through their copies of the Saphira in the graveyard, so this is not going to be resolving. It's not going to do anything for us anyways, so it's going to be kind of hard, and their next play is going to most likely be summoning out the copy of Skull Guardian. Now Skull Guardian doesn't summon out the copy of Low, it searches for the copy of Low. Therefore, it's not going to be able to summon out a body, and by the time they have that Low in the field, that is used to summon itself out, they're going to have a negate already on the field. So this was definitely a misplay. Should have been a copy of Titanic Clad, or a copy of the Rinbrum, but that's all right. And then the Albion just there kind of for a bluff. In retrospect, you should have sent the Rinbrum as well as the Titanic Clad. Titanic Clad would have most likely been negated, but it would have guaranteed me summoning the Quem, which was the kind of point of this. But we see them send the Entis as well as the copy of the Herald here. which is going to be activating the effect, searching for a copy of the Prayers. So now they can get that other body on the field, dumping the copy of Circus to summon up the Skull Guardian, and then we're going to see them search for the copy of Low. Low can then be summoned, and then activating the effect, placing the trap face up on the field. Prayers is going to be put back with the trap card to add a copy of Saphira. And we will be able to activate the effect later on in the next turn if they do go for the Saphira. But we're going to go Albion. They're going to negate that obviously with the Skull Guardian, and we search for a copy of Bestial Lubellion. Now the only reason why we search for a copy of Bestial Lubellion here is because we're hoping that we are going to be negating it, or it's going to get negated by the copy of the Skull Guardian. Now remember, we cannot target anything, or I guess we can't target anything at all here. Because we can control a Low as well as a Skull Guardian. We must attack Skull Guardian, and it's 4,100. So it is kind of difficult for us to break this board. And they have 3 face downs, which, most likely could be even 3 imperms or a copy of Anti-Spell and Dominus Purge. Now, we know they are on Dominus Purge as well, so most likely one of them are going to be set Dominus Purge. But we're going to be kind of playing through this. We do go draw phase, and in the draw phase, they flip up Anti-Spell, and that's going to be a problem. So we do have Branded Opening, which we are going to be chaining. They chain Dominus Purge here, which is going to be negating the Branded Opening, which is going to be quite nice for them. I'm glad they used that there and not on the copy of Lubellion. This would have been able to summon out a copy of Quem, which would then be able to continue. But in this case, once again, I mentioned earlier, this should have been a Titanic Lad to at least attempt to summon out the Quem. Quem could then dump, and that could have been a copy of Rinbrum. Now, it would have been negated with the effect of the Skull Guardian there, but we would also have another opportunity where we would have been able to dump and then have the Albaz be able to brought out with that copy of Sanctify, or of the Rinbrum there. So we're going to be playing through this. We're going to go standby main phase. Now we can't normal summon Albaz because it's going to get hit with a copy of Skull Guardian absolutely every single time. And when we look at our hand, there's not much that we can do other than that. We have Albaz, Fusion Deployment, which is now dead. We have a copy of Albion and Lubellion. So we kind of just force that their opponent just does not interact with any of our cards. This is the same card as this. All 3 cards are dead. We just have a Fallen of Albaz normal summon here, and then 2 unknowns. Hopefully we'll draw off the copy of Albion, but it doesn't look too great. So we go Lubellion here, searching for a copy of Jerusalem, thinning our deck, making it so that our draws could be a little bit better. We then go dump the 3rd copy of Albaz, making them maybe think we have a copy of, Cartesia or a Branded in red, whatever we want. And we do draw a Sorenir here. Definitely not what we're looking for. We go Druisworm, targeting the copy of Zeshravis, hoping to negate that now. They choose not to. Now looking back, we probably should have dumped the copy of... We should have activated the effect of Sorenir instead. That way we could dump the copy of Retribution, which can then add back the Branded Opening. Now the reason why we didn't do that is because we wanted to keep the cards in hand unknown. But in this case, we're losing. It does not really matter. You just want to be able to get the effects off. So we see the Lubellion being tagged out here. A little bit of misplay put on the bottom of the deck. And we put that to the bottom of the deck as well. We do activate the effect of Lubellion, and this is going to be hit with an Imperm. I was hoping they did not have anything else. We could put the Loss on the field. Now, if we would have put Loss on the field, we would have been able to normal summon with the Albaz, activating the effect, using the copy of Skull Guardian as a material because it cannot negate activations, and this is a fusion effect, therefore it's not able to negate activations, but they had the Imperm anyway, so it would have been just able to stop it. Now, unfortunately, this is going to be the cream of the crop, essentially negating our whole turn and making it so that it's completely unwinnable. But then again, we're playing against Anti-Spell, an Ash Blossom, an Imperm, and a copy of an Omni Negate. So that's going to be kind of it for us. We normal summon the Albaz, hoping they don't negate it, and then we just go, yeah, that's going to be it for us. But moving on to game 3 here, we're going to be able to go first once again. 45 card, let's see what our opening hand is. We see an Aluber, a copy of Thrust, a copy of Cartesia, a copy of Albaz, essentially, dumping the Albaz, searching for another random card, an Upstart Goblin if you wish, and a Baldrake. Decently opening hand, we're able to search for a copy of Branded Fusion. We can set a copy of Dimension Barrier, which has not get hit. We don't know why it didn't get hit, but oh well. If they do hand trap us, we have a copy of Cartesia, which chains really well with the copy of Albion, being able to dump the Albaz, and then being able to mulligan, essentially, and having the special summon effect of her, which also lets us play around hand trapped with a copy of the Aluber. And then we just have a Baldrake for, a part of our end board, or just be able to banish the cards. Just a very good card against a Voiceless Voice. Now for the opponent, we have the copy of Circus, so being able to dodge those cards. Not the best going second card, but still there. The Dear Servant, we see a Prayers as well as a Veiler, and then a copy of Saphira. So only one hand trap, and we kind of beat that with the copy of Cartesia. But let's see how it goes. So we are going to be going to standby main phase. We activate the copy of Albion. First step, sending the copy of Albaz to draw again. We see a Quem here, so now we do have a little bit of a conflict. Do we normal summon the Quem or do we summon the Albaz? Now, the thing is Quem does not get us anywhere right now in this situation because we only have one copy of Brand Infusion. Now, Aluber is now a lot more of a priority to be able to normal summon. It was already one of the better normal summons prior, but now it's just a little bit more better because you'll be able to search for the copy of Brand Infusion, which is kind of like a god card. So, we see the Cartesia special summon itself out, and then we normal summon with the Aluber, activating the effect. They do chain the Veiler, hoping that we do not chain the copy of Cartesia, or we don't have something else to kind of play through it. But needless to say for them, now they play into a copy of Thrust, as well as Talents, which is in our deck, and we kind of can play through this anyways. So maybe they should have waited for it, but at this point, there's no really good targets for the copy of Veiler. They're just hand looping themselves. So we see that's chain Cartesia here. This is going to stop us from getting the copy of Lost on the field to getting another search, which is important to note that, you do stop that at any point of time by just chaining the copy of Veiler. So I guess they are stopping Lost getting a search this turn, which can be the Mercurier, which definitely does impact us. But we do go for the copy of the Granganol, and we search for a copy of Brand Infusion here. We activate the Granganol effect, dumping the copy of Gaming Puppet, because it is still very consistent to be able to play. Obviously, Brand Infusion is a very good card, but, we can still Gaming Puppet lock our opponent, which you guys might see here. So we do activate Brand Infusion, sending the copy of Lubellion and the Albaz, going for the Albion here. Albion effect is going to activate, banishing the copy of Aluber and the Albaz, going for Lubellion. Lubellion can then activate the effect, discarding the copy of Baldrake to put back the copy of Albaz and the Mirror Jade, and the Lubellion to go for a copy of Mirror Jade. In defense position, we do tag out the Lubellion for the copy of Albion, activating the effect, putting the copy of Lost on the field. Now, we do think we activate the copy of Thrust, setting the D barrier here, being able to call the Ritual is absolutely amazing. And then we go Albion effect, being able to set the copy branded in red, and also the Cartesia add back to the hand. So now we have essentially Gaming Puppet being able to activate the effect of the branded in red, banishing the copy of the Albaz as well as the copy of Cartesia to go for that copy of the Sanctifier here. Now, when you look in our graveyard, we have the Baldrake, the Albion, and the Gaming Puppet. Now, if we did not have the Baldrake, we could have discarded the copy of Quem. The reason why we didn't discard the copy of Quem is because if we do get hand trapped here, any hand trap really kind of hurts us. Looking at Bells, looking at Ogres. I guess Ogre doesn't really hurt us in that case. But there's so many good cards, like any Bestials, any DD Crows, I think are going to be extremely relevant in this format. Would have been able to stop this. Therefore, we wanted to keep a Quem in the hand to be able to continue playing, and just having the Baldrake in the hand wouldn't do as much. Now, looking back, we are playing against Voiceless Voice, so this definitely could be a thing as well. But they're not going to be summoning from their extra deck really at all. Therefore, and the Ritual summoning is not going to come up because we do have a copy of the Dimension Barrier. So just not really important to hit, other than maybe an SP, because we do hit them with that. But we're going to be seeing Lost as well as Sanctifier, going to kind of protect us here. And we do summon with the copy of the Gaming Puppet as well as the copy of Quem, or as well as the copy of the Baldrake here. So now we kind of just win at this point. We don't have to normal summon or anything else during the next turn. We have enough resources to kind of win the game. They do go to Deer, searching for a copy of Maximus and trying to draw a card, trying to make sure they have something they can combat us for the next turn. They do go for Barrier, we can search them again for a Blessing, which they can go for the Blessing as well. But at this point, they're just going to pass turn. We go end phase, Titaniclad, send the copy of the Mirror Jade, or Mirror Jade can send the copy of Titaniclad to banish the copy of Gaming Puppet, because the game is essentially over. There's nothing they can really do to end up getting game here. No matter what, all their cards are going to be dead. We know they have a Maximus and a copy of Skull Guardian in the hand. It's those two cards, the three unknowns, are not going to be able to stop the game. There's nothing they really have other than maybe multiple copies of Bestials that can really get them anywhere. If we don't normal summon, they can't go for the effect of Prayers. And I believe it is, when a non-ritual monster is normal special summon except during the damage step, you can ritual summon, which is a special summon. And so they can't even do that here with the Titaniclad effect. So we're going to go for Titaniclad. They do Ash that here, maybe hoping that we do have the normal summon during the next turn. But this is going to be essentially just game on board. And we do draw a Mercurier for turn, which is going to be able to stop any monster effects, which is quite nice. Being able to stop a copy of a Bestial here. So we do read these cards, and we go battle phase, and this is going to be just game. So we see here Brandon end up taking up game 3. We didn't even have to activate the Dimension Barrier. But yeah, the deck is still very reliable. We did see game 1 us opening the Brand of Fusion. Now you will do that. I do believe the 45 or 40 card build is a lot more consistent than the 60 card build. Obviously, the Grass is Greener is a very cool card that people want to be playing because, you know, it does just come off the list. Unfortunately, I just don't think it's really good enough right now in this format. And then you don't want to be kind of flooding your deck with those kind of like worse cards with like Allures and stuff like that. Droll and Knockboard is going to be really relevant in the first start of the format. As always, we see it all the time. And then a little bit later, it's going to be falling off a bit. But right now, it's good against Snake Eyes, good against U-Bell, it's good against Memento. They can play around it. It's good against Branded as well, being able to stop those thrusts and stuff like that. But we're going to be seeing the deck kind of have to adapt a little bit differently, playing maybe more Cartesia and stuff like that as well. But regardless, hope you're watching the video. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, see more content like this. Stay safe. Peace.